no idea.
13. We'll go with that. If not, it's episode beep.
Yep.
So, it's at the time of recording, it's just after Festivus. So we were doing the airing of the Grievances, SportsSqwad edition. Anything that bothers us, it's me and KElven today. Anything that bothers us, we're just going to let it all out. Air it out. We're not going to focus too much on college football because we already spent an episode
beating up a dead horse already, yeah.
So it's going to be probably other things. But I do want to start with college football. I know it sounds hypocritical right off the bat. But the championship game, 2 SEC schools. As an SEC fan, I don't like it.
Can't stand it.
Yeah, I think the easy fix would have been, without getting too in depth about the college football playoff, would be just rank Alabama 3, even if you don't think they're the better team.
Right.
And just come out. The committee should just come out and say, hey, we think we're ranking them number 3 to avoid an all conference.
Right. Or like I would like to do like a lottery type system too, where like, you know, you might still get like an SEC final, but like it won't be a guaranteed. Like if you just do like, you know, just like the drawing, each team draws or something like that, and they pick out something, I guess. But even then,
I think that would work better with like 8 teams.
Yeah,
I feel like 4 is too small.
But like I said, I hate that an all SEC final. Like, granted, I know it's a different situation compared to like when it was like the all SEC final. I think that was 2011.
Yeah, I want to say 11.
Against it was Bama versus LSU.
Yeah.
But that was a little bit different because they had already played that in that season, and it was like a rematch in a championship game, and it wasn't a high scoring fun game, and that's kind of that's kind of what you're expecting from college football. I think most of the time, like you're expecting a high scoring game for the most part, because and you're expecting big time offenses and things like that. You just don't ever really get that from the SEC. The fact that Georgia put up 54 points in the Rose Bowl against Oklahoma was like huge.
That was an insane game.
That was to me that was a championship game, honestly. Like because then the Alabama Clemson game was just such a severe letdown. Yeah, at like halftime,
I was like, you're not gonna be, if you haven't stayed on par with Nick Saban this far, you're not gonna win.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the games with Nick Saban. The games he has lost in his career are always close. For the majority of games, nobody's ever just come back from like 14 down.
Yeah, exactly.
So at that point, I was
it's usually already a back and forth type game.
Yeah. So
I mean, like last year in the championship game against Clemson, I think they jumped out to like a 10-point lead or something like that. I could be wrong. I know they had a little bit of a lead earlier on in the game, but if he has a 14-point lead by half, I mean,
you're done.
Basically. You're done. It's because with how strong their defense is year in and year out, and then they can just run the clock out because they never have a good quarterback. SEC teams usually never have a really good quarterback.
You mean good quarterback as for college football, or
good quarterback as in like a quarterback that could make it to the NFL, like or be successful on the next level. I mean, as like the most powerful conference that the SEC is. I mean, year in and year out. I mean, in the NFL, there's maybe 3 starting quarterbacks in the NFL that are from the SEC.
I know 2 off the top
or 4. There's 4. So it's Dak Prescott, Eli Manning.
Oh, I forgot Eli's SEC quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Matt Stafford and Cam Newton.
Yeah, Cam. Because he only played the 1 year at Auburn. I kind of
forget, and he started off at Florida too. Yeah. So he's the SEC no matter what.
And then he stole a laptop.
Yeah, no big deal. Still went first overall, made millions of dollars, endorsements, stuff like that. Because
I think it was one of those like either somebody got paid off or they just never found enough evidence. The kid could come out and be like, I saw him steal it. And they'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I guess like to get back on track. I mean, I really don't like the fact that it is an all SEC final. I would have been more excited if it turned out to be like Georgia and Oklahoma in the final, because that proved to be such an amazing game. Yeah, it was like kind of upsetting the fact that like it wasn't for a championship. It was just to get into the championship.
Which I don't mind because it's still a playoff game.
Right.
Like the other big bowl games that happen, I'm like, yeah, these could be good games, but
yeah, I mean,
like in the end, they don't mean it. It's like the elephant in the room, you know.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to talk about it because there's something to watch. But
yeah, exactly. It is something to watch, and that's why you're seeing a lot of these players starting to sit out and everything like that out of these bowl games. Yeah. Nobody wants to. I mean, if they know you're not playing for a championship, I mean, what else are you playing for? I mean, obviously school pride and things like that. But I mean, you could get injured, you could cost yourself millions of dollars, and nobody wants that.
Didn't what somebody just sit out either Rosen or Darnold? I want to say Rosen. Was thinking about it.
Well, they had asked Rosen about if he wanted to sit out. He didn't necessarily want to sit out, but he had a concussion, so he ended up not playing.
I just saw the headline. They were like 99% sure he's not playing.
Yeah,
so I was like,
because they asked him about it at the press conference. He's like, I understand the idea of other people wanting to sit out. I mean, people who are like in a more of I guess like in a more physical position, like a running back. Like you saw Leonard Fournette, you saw Christian McCaffrey sit out of bowl games last year. I mean, they both had injury history. I mean, more so Leonard Fournette as well, but Christian McCaffrey had experienced some injuries that year and everything. So it made sense that they would want to sit out. I mean, you're trying to protect your money. I mean, you know,
it's the future.
Yeah, you're going to be a first round pick. Both of them end up being top 10 draft picks.
Yeah.
You just don't want it to be like, you just don't want to cost yourself that money. You don't want to cost yourself that shot. I mean, you look at I guess the more recent one that's like really a big time name is Jalen Smith, who got drafted to the Cowboys, and he was supposed to be top 5 pick. Like, he was that good of a player. Then he got himself injured in the Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State, and it turned out he tore his ACL and PCL or LCL or something like that. And
LCL, isn't that like hard to tear?
Yes, and he also had nerve damage, which was the biggest thing. He would have been fine if to come back earlier, but he had with the nerve damage that he suffered in his foot, he ended up sitting out and didn't practice at all his entire what would have been his rookie season. And he's still not 100% healthy. Like, he's still, the nerve still isn't fully healed, regenerated, or anything like that. So, I mean, you have situations like that where this kid would have been a top 5 pick, and he ended up getting drafted. I mean, likely he still got drafted in the second round, but I mean, you look at the differences between being a first round pick and a second round pick. There's a lot more money. You can get an option for the fifth year in the contract as well. So I mean, it's tough. It's tough for a player like that to have to deal with that. But like I said, just the idea of the championship game being, like I said, again, they didn't play this season, so you haven't seen this matchup before, but it's two similar offensive teams, like similar style of teams from the same area in the country, and it's just and it doesn't seem super exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the games where it has no hype around it.
Right, exactly. Like the more the hype were the games prior to it. You know, it's still gonna get tuned. Like people are gonna watch it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the ratings for the championship game were lower than the ratings of that of the Rose Bowl. Just because it's also it's tough as well because you put it back on Monday night, 8th on a Monday night. Like people are already back to work after the holidays and everything like that.
And I never understood that either. Why it's a Monday night.
Yeah.
Make it a Saturday night.
Yeah.
I know it competes with the NFL playoffs, but you make it a Saturday.
Right. You can
afternoon game maybe.
Right. You can move it around. You can make it because people have to go to work the next day. That game turns out that last year's game went very, very long. That was
a tight game.
Yeah, it was a tight game. It was a really good game. It was an all-time classic, but I mean, still, it's tough for people, and on top of that, you're belonging everything too. Now they got a legit halftime show too, so that's gonna extend it. Yeah, exactly. So it's tough, and I really don't think you're gonna get the same kind of ratings that you would get if you put it on another night, or if it would have been like I said, even with that that Rose Bowl game. I think you're gonna get better ratings from that Rose Bowl game than you will the championship game, just because there's no hype. It's two similar teams, to a similar area of the country. This is not exciting.
I did a little Twitter rant about it, but just saying make it 6 teams.
Yeah.
And Colin Cowherd went off on it the other day, and I poked holes in every one of his arguments.
Well, yeah.
I only saw the clip. I didn't watch the show, but I saw the clip, and he's less is more. Keep it at 4, and these are the best teams. You really think the 8th best team has a chance? And I was like, well, sometimes they do.
Central Florida this year. Central Florida went out, beat Auburn.
Yeah. Central Florida is great.
It's it's like a new age Boise State is what it is, and that argument has been made for that Boise State type team for years now. I mean,
since the past 10 years.
Yeah,
since the Fiesta Bowl when they beat Oklahoma.
And then just never got the shot back after that. I mean, they beat a legitimate big conference team with legitimate talent. I mean, that was back when they had Adrian Peterson, and I think Sam Bradford might have been on the team back then. I could be wrong, but
I think that was before Sam Bradford.
It might have been.
I think he won the Heisman in 2009.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like I said, they've been there. They won the game that they were supposed to win against like a big time opponent. Central Florida went in there. They beat Auburn. Auburn's also 2 big wins, Georgia and Alabama, 2 teams that are literally playing for the national championship right now. Who's like I said, we don't know that they would get blown out. I just want to see them have a shot. I just want to see them have a seat at the table. That's all I want.
Yeah, and there's always been 1 or 2 teams literally every year. There's TCU for those couple years with Andy Dalton.
Yep.
There was Boise State when they had Chris Peterson.
Yep, Kellen Moore days.
Yeah, the Kellen Moore days with his 90% passer rating. Or whatever it was.
And like I said, last year they had the undefeated team in Western Michigan. They went on to play Wisconsin in their bowl game. It might have been the Peach Bowl as well. And I mean, that was a competitive game. That was a closer game than what people were expecting. You have legitimate teams like that have legit talent every so often. And I think that when you see that these teams are unbeaten, like they need to get the recognition. And like I said, I mean these dudes are getting like legitimate NFL players putting in that like NFL have some legitimate NFL talent. Obviously they're not Phil 4 or 5-star recruits to Alabama and Georgia are, but they're very well coached. Scott Frost obviously is a very, very good coach and has coached them up. I mean you have great stories. I mean, who wouldn't want to see a dude who has one hand going up against Alabama? Like I would love to see that. Like just a storyline to have that kind of a big market like that kind of huge storyline be put inside of an even bigger bowl game against a really big time opponent, and he does well. Like the kid won the MVP of the Central Florida game, like of the Central Florida Auburn game. Like he was the MVP. He's been the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in the American Athletic Conference. Like it's like he's a great story. The dude has one hand. His brother's in the NFL right now. His twin brother's in the NFL, plays for the Seahawks. Like it's just like I just wish that we'd be able to see that. Like and conversely at the same time, like it could help with these schools too, because a lot of times these coaches will build up a big time program. Chris Peterson will build up a Boise State. What's his face? The head coach. Who's the head coach for Western Michigan last year? He built up Western Michigan, and then he went on to Minnesota. I mean, Chris Peterson built up Boise State, went on to Washington. Yeah. Scott Frost built up Central Florida, is going to Nebraska. Like I just think if you give these teams a shot to be in the national championship conversation, then there'll be a higher retention rate. There'll be I think there'll be a lot more likely to stay, and it's sad. I mean, who would not want to live in Orlando, Florida over Nebraska? Like I'd love give me Mickey Mouse every single day. I give me Mickey Mouse over cornfields. That's what I want. And I know he went to Nebraska and everything like that, and I'm not knocking his decision, because I mean, get your money and go back to your alma mater, but so you had a chance to build something special. Like you brought a team that was winless and brought him into relevancy, and brought him into a program that won every single game, beat a legit SEC opponent, and you leave because first of all, the university won't likely have that money to pay you, even though it's funny the university they're getting the bonus as if they won the national championship. Is which I thought him and all the other assistant coaches, I think it's hysterical. But I think you get a higher retention rate if they can stay and they could potentially play for a national championship. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know if you.
I think so too. I think once you build up the program, and say UCF, say there was a 16 playoff and they were number 6, and they make it to national championship and lose to whoever, Scott Frost is going to stay another year or two because he got so close. And if his program starts to decline and he gets fired or then chooses, that's something different. Right. But like you said, a lot of these coaches are leaving at their peak of their own program.
Right. And I think, and like I said, if you keep on winning, you keep on putting together successful seasons, then you start to get in a conversation to like for conference realignment. You can hop into another conference, and that's what Gary Patterson did at TCU. Like he stayed there, he waited, he built up a very good program in TCU, and then they moved from the Mountain West Conference or something like that to Big 12, and then now they have a legitimate shot at making it to the championship. Granted, you go obviously the strength of schedule increases, but that's what the committee is obviously looking at when it comes to like getting these championships. I think you stay around, you stay in Central Florida. Hopefully, you start getting some of these big-time recruits. You move up to an ACC, I guess. Where, I mean, you still have, you can still recruit within ACC because, I mean, you have Florida State down there. You have Miami that you heard. Clemson, yeah. I mean, they're all in that area where you can still recruit, and it makes sense. And I think, like I said, if it just makes sense to me. I don't know. But, I mean, and, like, I think one person who has a legitimate shot at doing it is Lane Kiffin. At FAU, because like I don't think that there's going to be any other schools that want to take a shot at him, and I think he's a hell of a coach. I think he's a great coach. It's just I don't think with his personality and how he behaves, I just don't think that there's going to be a lot of big time programs that want to bring that kind of personality there. So I think he stays at FAU for a while.
That's the thing that gets me about him too. I was like, he had that 1 year at Tennessee, and then he was he the one that was fired on the runway?
Yes, he was
at USC.
At USC, yep.
Yeah, like his history just kind of makes me go.
Yeah, him in Oakland too. That was kind of not good. But I think, like I said, he's been a good coach. I mean, he turned. Look, I mean, offensive coordinator wise, like he did a lot of good things with Alabama, and then FAU had won I think 7 games over the past like 3 years prior to him arriving there. They won 10 games. They had a 10-win season after they won their bowl game. They destroyed Akron 50-3.
Yeah,
like I said, and not people, because not a lot of people want their coaches to have that kind of personality, and I understand that. It's just, and for me, it excites me. I think it's hysterical. I love when he talks because it's just like so funny. It's just like very, very brash, very brazen. His tweets are the same as well. So I like him, and I like the fact that he has a legitimate shot of becoming like this Gary Patterson type person who can like bring FAU and put them up in a major conference and compete. And I think he starts scheduling like some tougher opponents. I think, and he starts building up his team. He's gonna get some questionable players. Don't get me wrong. He just single-handedly started recruiting everybody that was on Last Chance U last season. But I think he's got a legitimate shot of being like an impressive coach, and I think he has a legitimate shot of building FAU even further because I don't think it's gonna be a lot of teams that are gonna want to build gonna want to bring him in, which I understand. But all right, enough college football. Let's move it on.
Yeah, I was going to talk about just announcers and the analysis of it all. Yeah. Like, not so much the sport, just the people that make up stories, just to talk about stuff.
Yes. Your boy Colin Cowherd. Yeah.
Okay, so the thing, I like Colin Cowherd to an extent. I'm not like, I need to watch a show every day. Fan, but if I'm not doing anything and I'm not busy, I'll put on a show for like the first hour. Just because 3 hours is...
Yeah, it's too much of him talking.
Yeah,
just
and
stuff. Yeah.
For any show, honestly.
Yeah.
Like Mike, or now it's Wingo, whatever it is. And it's 4 hours. I'm like, you only have like 45 minutes worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Just repeat it every hour so the people listening
at different hours can catch up. Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of that, but I don't know, you're saying something. I'm trying to backtrack my memory here. Something about, I don't know, Colin Cowherd it was something about scheduling. Like, Colin Cowherd hates
Iowa.
That I kind of defend now because every time they were in the big game, they lost. So he had a good point there.
He got worked over by Stanford. Christian McCaffrey single-handedly beat Iowa a couple years ago. I think it was all over. Like, he rushed, caught, he returned a punt for a touchdown. He did everything. Game was over by like the end of like the first quarter.
But he says strengths of schedule, but then he won't. He says keep the playoff at 4. And I feel like those two kind of contradict each other.
Yeah.
If you're telling the schools, hey, you don't have a chance if you don't have strength of schedule, but then they prove themselves, and then you're like, oh, now that you're proving yourself, we're not going to change anything. That kind of bugs me. Like, the whole hypocritical, like, changing your mind about one thing and not the other.
Yeah.
And like, flip-flopping. And it happens in all sports.
Yeah.
Like the radio guys, like, will have one opinion one day, another opinion another day. I mean, we talked about in the one episode, I forget what episode, the college sports one, and I joked out. I didn't joke. I said my opinion on paying college athletes.
Yeah,
has changed.
Yeah,
I had an opinion. It was my second year of college. I want to say second year of college, and then like last year or 2 years ago, it changed. So like that was over the span of a few years.
Right.
These announcers change their opinion like all the time, and I know it's for ratings and just to talk. But
yeah.
Sometimes it's just like, come on, like stick to something for like a week.
Yeah, and they also
defend it.
Yeah, and it's not just that, but like they try and make a story out of nothing, and
always.
a lot of times it's just like it's a non-story. Just like let them live their lives. Like they're like I saw like they were talking about it on First Take today. They're talking about like how LeBron hasn't like re-upped, like couldn't make a commitment. I mean, like of course he's not. He's never made a commitment. Like if you look at him like his whole career, he's never made a full long-term commitment to an organization. Like for a few years, like he'll be there. Yeah, I mean he first initially made the long-term commitment when he was initially drafted to the Cavs, but I mean obviously the decision happened and he went down to Miami and
even there, what he was there. Didn't he sign like a 2 or 3 year deal? With
I think it was a 4-year contract, but it was like it could opt out after 3.
That's what, yeah. Which isn't that big of a deal, you know. Like I don't know, I'm not too familiar with basketball contracts, but I feel like baseball and football, you sign.
Yeah.
There's like a baseline of like a long-term deal, and I feel like LeBron has never hit that.
No, especially like because don't get it wrong, like LeBron is a smart individual and he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. So it's like he's doing it for the money. Like he'll sign, like he kept on signing. There was a span where he like 2 or 3 seasons where he was just signing like a 2-year contract with an opt out after 1 because he knew that the cap was going to keep on rising. So he knew he could get more money if he just signed for a 1-year deal, signed for a 2-year deal, opt out after 1, and then like re-sign for the same thing, knowing that the cap is going to go up so he can make more money. And he likes to see what the options are. Like he wants to see what the kind of team that you're going to build around him is going to be like. So, of course, he's not going to make a commitment because you don't really know the contract status of Isaiah Thomas. He's going to be a free agent after the season. You think Kevin Love's starting to get up there a little bit. His contract is also coming to an end soon. I think I could be wrong about that though. You look at another guy who got a load of money, and Tristan Thompson, who's coming off the bench now. His numbers have dropped significantly low. Yeah. It's the Kardashian curse, which is fine. They might as well just trade him now. Yeah, they might as well just trade him now because she's pregnant, so they're never winning a championship as long as he's on their roster. And it just like I said, he's never been able to make a long-term commitment. So you trying to stir up a story about like how he wouldn't commit to Dan Gilbert. He also doesn't like Dan Gilbert. So like why would he tell Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So why would he tell Dan Gilbert anything? Especially after Dan Gilbert wrote that shady ass letter towards him after he left Miami and like changed his price on the fat because he's the creator of Fatheads, changed his Fathead price to like the year that Benedict Arnold was born and shit like that. Like, why would he commit to you? Like, obviously he doesn't like you, he doesn't respect you as an individual, he doesn't respect your brand, so like he couldn't commit to you. LeBron is gonna do what's best suited for him. If he sees another opportunity to win a championship elsewhere, he's gonna take that opportunity.
Yeah, that's just the type of person he is.
But yeah, I mean, when it comes, especially with all these people, that because there's just so much to talk about, and then like I guess there's not enough to talk about, but
yeah.
It's being repeated and overanalyzed to the point where it doesn't need to be analyzed that much. Like you just don't need to talk about it. And that's kind of the disadvantage of the 24-hour news cycle. It's just like we already know about everything. Like if we want to know something, we just go on LeBron's Twitter and he'll tell you something. They'll overanalyze a whole Arthur meme and still talk about that for a year and everything like that. Like Archer, like the Arthur clenching his fist meme. Like I don't like we don't need to see that. Like just cover what happened. Like they're like, I saw one on First Take today too about how Kristaps, they're talking about like Kristaps and like how he struggled at the end of like the second half of like last night's game or whatever against the Wizards, and they were like, oh, is he good enough to be a number 1 option? I'm like, it's only his 3rd year. Yeah. It's like he's from Latvia, which is where they can play a completely different brand of basketball and against like not nearly the same kind of level of talent, and he's like younger than us. I mean, he's still growing into his body. He's still 7'3" and still weighs less than I am. Like he's got me by foot, and he weighs less. He's 15 pounds lighter than I am. So like, I mean, like give him more than. I mean, big men take longer to develop anyway. So like, give him some time. I mean, just there's no need to rush everything, and I think that's what the issue is. Like, they like people want to see want to demand results early, and that's an issue. And they want to talk about everything.
I hate that so much.
They want to talk about everything super early as well. It's like, this is incredibly premature. Like, you don't need to talk about this right now. Just like let the dude live, let the dude play, and then like let him develop. Like, you chirping and talking about him all the time isn't. And that coming back to him isn't. That's not going to help. It's going to hinder more than anything.
That's what I hate about Mel Kiper and Tom McShay, how they have a different draft board like every day. I'm like, outside the top 10, like, I know people drop or change their minds. You know, they stay for another year without them knowing.
Yeah.
But, like, they start so early and then they change it so often, and it's just like, why do you need to make 10 or 15 or however many it makes? Because I feel like every day there's a new reason for them to go on, and I'm like, I can only take so much of those two guys. So
and I'm not actually not a huge fan of either one of them either.
I don't know. I don't watch enough Tom McShay, but every time I hear Mel Kiper talk, I'm like, you're just throwing shit on the wall.
Yeah, because they're what I like to refer to as like media scouts. They're not like scouts. Yeah. They just kind of like watch some players and like they'll just make mock drafts based off of players that they like and like where they have them rated. They don't necessarily go over like team needs and like look and different things like that. Like, sure, they'll know the player, but they don't go deep. They don't really know. Like, I like some of my favorite like draft people are Matt Miller, who works over Bleacher Report, and Dane Brugler, who works at CBS Sports. Like, they're like, to me, that they're some of the best. Like, Dane Brugler every year puts out what he calls the Beast, which is where he scouts literally every single person that declares for the draft. He'll have like a thick book and like have a detailed like their nickname, their height, weight, where like what they were like, what high school they went to, like everything you need to know. And that's what I really appreciate, because he'll evaluate team needs and he'll be like, oh yeah, the Eagles need to get this based on their team needs. The Cowboys need to get this based on their team needs. Like I was looking at like the most recent mock draft that Mel Kiper had, and like I obviously look at whatever he has the Cowboys getting, and he has the Cowboys getting Christian Wilkins, who is a fine player. Like, I have nothing against him. He's a defensive tackle for Clemson.
But if you don't need him,
yeah, but like he's a 3-technique. He's a 3-technique defensive tackle. The Cowboys don't need a 3-technique defensive tackle. They already have Malik Collins and they have David Irving, who are both very good 3-techniques. His argument was, oh yeah, you can move over Malik Collins to a 1-technique. I'm like, no, you don't want him at a 1-technique. That's not his best position, because he can't fight off double teams. Even I know this, and I'm not a scout. Like, I just follow other people and who keep me informed about these things. And like I said, I said, I don't really... Mayock, I'm not a huge fan of either on NFL Network. But I still watch, like, the ESPN coverage of the draft recently they've had Louis Riddick, who I love. Like, he's very, very well informed. He used to play defensive back in the NFL. He's, like, worked in like, the front office. He's, like, their front office kind of a guy. And he's a scout. Like, he's been traditionally a scout. Like, he, like, interviewed for a few different GM spots here and there too. Like, he most recently interviewed for the Giants GM spot. Like, he's good. Like, he understands like this is what their position need is. This is how he's gonna fit in their scheme, and then this is how well that this looks as far as a draft pick. Instead of just being like, oh yeah, he wasn't on top of the board, so I don't like that pick. So I'm not gonna grade it high. Just because you don't like the pick because it doesn't coincide with your rankings doesn't mean it doesn't coincide with the team's rankings, or it doesn't coincide with what the team needed individually. You know, so I don't like them in particular. Like I said, they know the players, like they know a good amount of the players and everything like that. I'm not knocking them on that. It's just I don't like them, like their further analysis into how they fit per team. I hate watching sports, and I hate watching. Well, I hate just watching, like, listening to certain announcers, and it mainly affects me in the NFL. Like, I think
Chris Collinsworth.
Yes, Chris Collinsworth. I think he's very bad. I used to think Phil Simms was the worst though, and like Al Michaels, I think he's too old to do it now. He doesn't pay attention to the game.
They were saying one Eagles game, one Sunday night games. I think they played 2 Sunday night games this year. Well, one of them, the blogger I follow was like, he just didn't sound interested in the game. Yeah. It wasn't like he was hating on the Eagles or another team. He just didn't seem like he wanted to be there. Yeah.
And I think, which is not what you want. Like, I just think that you need to start pushing Mike Tirico in there a little bit more. Like, I think you need him in more of the Sunday night games, because I think they like alternate. Like, he'll do like the Thursday night games when NBC has a broadcast. I think you need to give him more anymore. And I think you need to start inching Al Michaels out. Like, I understand, like, he's called a lot. Like, he called the Miracle on Ice and everything like that. Like,
but how long can you hold on to them?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, like I just
37 years ago.
Yeah, I just don't feel it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's just I don't know. It's just not something I enjoy with him. I'm just thankful that John Gruden is finally getting a coaching job again, so they can get his ass out of the booth. Cause I can't say listen to him. Like, he knows what he's talking about, but he'll just talk about like his infatuation with one player for just too long, and it's just like, all right, we already know who your Gruden grind is going to be. Like, we know who your Gruden grind is going to be before the game starts.
It's going to be this person.
Yeah.
This team, the other team.
Like, I was watching, like, when I was watching the Cowboys game, when they played the Cardinals on Monday Night Football, he's like, watch out for J.J. Nelson. J.J. Nelson, like, is going to be, like, my go-to guy here. J.J. Nelson to get a single catch the entire game. He's like, all right, they're waiting on it, and the game ended. I'm like, where's J.J. Nelson, John Gruden? Because I didn't see him at all this game. Was he even out there?
It was actually kind of funny, because at the Patriots game, there were two guys behind us, and they're like, oh, where's Gronk? What's Gronk going to do? I haven't seen him play. He was on the field every play. He just didn't do anything. Like, I turned to Katie and was like, he just isn't catching anything.
Yeah.
Like,
did they? Because I say he didn't catch a ball in that game.
I don't think so. I mean, we left halfway through the fourth quarter.
Okay.
I wanted to stick it out because, they were expensive tickets.
Yeah, right, exactly. It was cold. But it was cold.
It was freezing, yeah. It was the coldest regular season game in Gillette Stadium history.
That's fun.
And
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, and a lot of people were frozen to their seats. Like, they just want to get up. But yeah, the people behind us were like, where is he? Come on, use him. I'm like, first of all, you already have the one seat. It's the Steelers bench for Roethlisberger. And you don't need him to play that often because he has injury problems.
Yeah, exactly. He's already had severe back issues multiple times, like elbow injuries, he has a torn ACL, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's had a good amount of injury problems. Like, you can sit him. Like, you don't need him this game.
Yeah,
it's the Jets.
He played a fair amount.
Yeah.
But, like, people were just like, where is he? I'm like, he's on the field. Like, we're in the 300 level, and I can see his
numbers. Yeah, I was like, he's a big man. He's kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, even from that high up. Speaking of, Brady is really tall. I never...
I was like 6'4".
I never put it into perspective before, but he ran out with Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer's only like 6'2".
Yeah, but they ran out of tunnel for the warm-ups while they, like, gradually walked.
Yeah, but we jog.
Yeah, but we saw it like, oh, Brady is actually that big.
Right.
I never...
You know, it's funny too. Like when they come out in the tunnel. Like I noticed this more in college, and we're watching. I was sitting there watching the Penn State game against Washington, and like it's funny because like they're like chomping at the bit to run out to the field, and like they're like. The coach is like pretending to hold him back and everything like that, and then they like start, and then they go out and there's like a light jog. It's like, then why'd you do all this theatrics? Like why are you trying to pretend like you're an animal, trying to get out of a cage, and you're just gonna jog out to the field? Like I thought it was hysterical. But like I said, I'm glad Gruden's going to be gone. I just think it's going to be hysterical because I don't think he's going to be that good of a coach. I never thought he was that good of a coach.
Yeah, he had that one run, and everyone said, well, it was Tony Dungy's defense.
Yeah, exactly. It was Tony Dungy's team. Like, for a guy who was supposed to be an offensive mind with Spidey 2 White Banana, you definitely did not win that Super Bowl because of your offense. You telling me that Brad Johnson won that Super Bowl? Yeah, okay. No, it was John Lynch. It was Warren Sapp. It was Derek Brooks. It was those dudes that won you that Super Bowl. It was not anybody else that you had on offense. Maybe Keyshawn Johnson, but that's about it.
I heard a good point by what's his name, LZ Granderson on Sports Nation.
Oh, okay, yeah, I like him.
He's grown on me. At first, I wasn't a fan because Sports Nation was like at one point it was Michelle Beadle and then like whoever they could find in the studio. Just throwing on. But
and this just started off as Michelle Beadle and Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, which I like their dynamic.
Yes, I did
Michelle
too.
Beadle didn't like call them out. She was like, "No, you don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Because she knows a lot, and like
she does. She's one of the better known people. She'll bring up a point like I didn't even think of, and I'm like, wait a minute, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But he brought up the point: teams shouldn't be going after older coaches anymore because Sean McVay. Basically, like you could find these younger coordinators or these younger guys probably know what they're doing. You're just going off of experience, versus like I think if Andy Reid, however longer he lasts with the Chiefs, might be his last stint.
I would think so too.
He's been coaching forever, and at a certain point, you just gotta be like, hey, times have changed.
Yeah,
like I can't keep up. Like that's the thing with like Belichick won't. Belichick will die in Gillette Stadium.
Yeah, I'm fairly convinced that will happen.
Yeah. So, but he adapts. You know?
Yeah.
A lot of these older coaches kind of don't.
No, they don't.
So
They're so stuck in their ways that they don't really see what's
the ways they were trained, which was even longer. So you get these younger guys like McVay and
Doug Peterson's younger, fairly younger.
Yeah. So you get those guys who kind of know what they're doing, and see what happens.
But
taking a risk on a guy probably won't do that.
Yeah, but it's tough because the first guy that was was Lane Kiffin. Like that was a young coach that you thought was gonna be good, and it turned out like it wasn't his time. Like I said, I mean,
he was mainly in college though, right?
Yeah, it was mainly college, but I mean, he had that stint in Oakland too.
Yeah. So, well, I'm talking when he went to Oakland.
Yeah. He was. Yeah, exactly.
He went there. Yeah.
And
then, like Pete Carroll's the only one who's proven he was good in college and NFL.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Nick
Saban was bad.
Yeah, he was known for being that bad.
Harbaugh was good. I mean,
Harbaugh's pretty good. Yeah,
he took the 49ers to the Super Bowl.
I don't know if we'll go back to.
I don't think he
the
will.
NFL. Though.
I don't think
he was so good at Stanford. He had that San Fran. I was back in Michigan where this season was a little but if this was just a one.
If he can ever get a quarterback in there, he could be good because that defense is always good year in and year out. I think he needs to get better offensive coaches around him too because I don't think he does the play calling. He should do the play calling because he's a better offensive mind than Tim Drevno in there. But
that's another thing too. Like some people say, like, "Oh, just do that."
Yeah,
like, no, it's not that simple.
Right,
like, you can't just do things.
Right, exactly. Like if
Mack,
you could just like,
Khalil Mack could play running back one day, and he'd be like, "All right."
Yeah.
And probably get all pro.
Yeah.
But besides him, like, you can't just make... Like, you see it when a lineman goes down and they switch him to the other side.
Yeah.
It's a totally different thing. You think it's the same thing, but it's not.
It's not. Like, it's completely different hand placement, footwork, things like that. Like,
way.
especially when you're pulling,
you're
like,
right.
It's very different. Like, you can't just be like, oh, yeah, you're a big body. You can just put your hands up and make sure you stop the other guy. Like, no, that's not how that works. If it were that simple, we would all do it. If we all 350 pounds, we would all do that shit.
Yeah. The only time that bugged me, though, I'm usually for, like, it's not that simple, but it was last year. Last year, the Eagles lost their long snapper, John Dornball.
Yes.
Who third place on America's Got Talent as well. But they lost him, and they were trying out, like, what's his name? Trey Burton, who's their third string tight end.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, how does Jason Peters not know how to snap the ball further?
Like,
it's the same motion. You just got to do it hard. I was like, why are they putting in their third tight end? And apparently Jason Peters, or not Jason Peters.
Kelsey,
yeah.
That's what I thought you meant. Yeah, I got you.
Kelsey, yeah. But apparently Kelsey, like, never practiced or knew how to do it. And I was like, you're a center.
Yeah, like, right? Like, it's the same basic motion. Like, it's just a little bit further.
Yeah.
Just a couple yards farther. Yeah.
Go down. Like, snap and go down because they can't go over you. Like, so that's the only time it bothered me. Every other time, I'm like, you can't. That was the whole thing with Tebow too. I'm like, he'd make a better running back or tight end, but it'll take some time.
Yeah, I mean, especially
probably won't be that good at it.
Especially like tight end. Like the tight end, like you could say, yeah, sure, but you also have to like relearn how to catch. Like, you have to like bring make it to seem like you have natural hands, like you have a natural catching motion and things like that. You also have to learn how to like do all the different blocking schemes, and that's again, that's not super easy.
Like they're even as good as athletes are because they're the top 1% basically of athletes in the world.
Yeah,
like. There's still a limit to how much I can think about, and that bugs me when like fans say that. I hate like extremist fans too. Who
would just like, oh yeah, that's simple. Like I hate no, it's like or the doomsday fans. I hate doomsday fans too. Like
one thing goes wrong.
It's like they're like, oh well, like. Dak looked like he struggled those last couple games. Do you think we should look to trade him and try and get up in the draft and get another and get like Baker Mayfield? I'm like, no, like they still had a winning record. They were still 9-7.
First 9-7.
Yeah, I know. I was pissed.
Like 7-9 or 8-8.
Yeah. You would think so. You would think with all the like everything swirling around them and people like, oh, they're not making. No, they ended up 9-7 and like just barely missed out on the playoff race.
I knew they were in the playoffs until like week was it 14 or 15?
No, it was 16.
Oh, 16?
Yeah, until they lost to the Seahawks. They were like officially still within. Yeah. So like it's just like those. I hate those kind of fans. Yeah. Like they're like, oh well, nope. Trade everybody. Gotta get rid of everybody. I'm like, no, just calm down. Like it'll be fine.
He's had 2 years. He had one really good year.
Yeah.
One decent
year. Like I said, obviously severe, like a true sophomore slump, which has been known to be a thing. That's been known to happen.
That's what happened to, what's his name? Someone just had a sophomore slump. I think it was like a quarterback or receiver or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody did. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, people find film on you.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's exactly what
the
happens.
the whole gist of the league is like adapting and
yeah,
developing and switching it up. Like
that's why Chip Kelly isn't an NFL coach anymore.
Exactly.
People found out how to beat it.
Yeah, exactly. We figured out, you get 3 incompletions, your drive's going to last a minute. Yeah. All right, that's cool. We'll put your defense back on the field. Let's run up and down the field and tire your defense out, and then we'll just go 40 on you. It's that simple.
And like, kicking, too. People were like, I used to practice. I might have talked about this before. I don't know.
Yeah.
I used to practice on my high school field, and I made one 40-yard field goal. Super unofficial. Mm-hmm. Like, you couldn't see the lines. It was a guesstimate. Yeah. It was around 40. It could have been 38, Could have been 42. But it was, and I did it once. And I used to go every day for like an hour. Just kick, just to see how well I could do it. And like, between 25 and 35, I was pretty consistent, but it was me and my one other friend. Yeah. Put a line in front of me, I'd probably shank it. Yeah, exactly. I see 300-pound guys coming at me. Like that's the thing. Like no outside interference.
Right. You don't have to worry about a snap. Like,
field. Yeah. Like a couple times we had a third guy that would join us and we tried to snap it.
Oh, okay.
But it was mainly like the two of us. And like one time I made 40 yards. And people were like, "Oh, 45 yards. That's easy. You should make this." I'm like, "It's not."
Yeah. Like, no, it's not. It's not that simple of a kick.
Unless you're Justin Tucker. Or Gostowski.
Even he hasn't been that consistent this year, Gostowski.
Yeah, Dan Bailey kind of.
Yeah, with Dan Bailey's groin injury, that was tough.
Oh yeah, it's hard to kick with it.
Really. Yeah, it's hard to walk with the groin. I almost pulled my groin the other day after wiping on that mechanical bull. Not fun.
But yeah, I just when people take things to the extreme, I'm just like, calm down. Like you're moving too fast. Like I get like professional sports move fast. I feel like except for baseball. It's the one sport where you gotta give it 2 or 3 years. But like slow down and don't unless you're the Giants and fire Ben McAdoo. But I'm like chill. Like give it one more year. That's kind of my rule of thumb is give it like one more. Just especially if you're proving yourself. Yeah. Like you can't fire a coach after 1 year because you have no idea what's going to happen next year. Like, what's his name? The Broncos coach. Yeah, Vance Joseph.
Talking about firing him. I was like, he lasted 1 season. I'm like, and you also can't pin this on him. I mean, like, you as a president and GM, John Elway, neglected to find your team a quarterback. Yeah. So, like, what do you want him to do with 3 dumpster? You have 3 dumpster fires at quarterback. You have Paxton Lynch, who's obviously not ready to play. That's very evident. Yeah. Trevor Siemian is what, a former 7th-round draft pick out of Northwestern, who should be a career backup. He'll be fine as a backup quarterback. And Brock Osweiler, who, come on, we know we've seen Brock Osweiler. Like he's the only thing that I've ever seen stop DeAndre Hopkins. I've never seen anybody stop DeAndre Hopkins other than Brock Osweiler. That's how good. That's how good DeAndre Hopkins is. He damn near had 1,000 yards receiving last year with Brock Osweiler, and Brock Osweiler was throwing shit into the ground. I was like, you by far the best wide receiver as far as I'm concerned. No OBJ, no Antonio Brown. They got quarterbacks that can throw the ball. Eli Manning, you can say whatever you want about Eli Manning. He throws a lot of interceptions and shit like that, but he'll throw it to you sometimes. Like, Big Ben, 2 Super Bowl rings, obviously going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. You got Brock Osweiler throwing the ball, you still get damn near 1,000 yards. Like, you might be, you're the greatest one. You might be Jerry Rice as far as I'm concerned. I think everybody kind of just goes into rushing things and just because like everybody wants to see immediate results. I mean, like people want to see immediate results from the Browns. I'm like, you're not going to get immediate results from the Browns. I mean, when you got a bean counter over there, you're not like it's not gonna happen. It's that simple. It's not gonna happen when it comes to that. On top of that, like you work from a great spot to begin with. You have no quarterback. Your star wide receiver has been suspended for the better part of the last 3 years. Right. Yeah. You don't really have any kind of talent on your offense. You're starting to finally build some talent on the defense, on the defensive side of the ball. It doesn't help that your last however many first round picks are like not in the league anymore, like off your team. Yeah.
The Browns are the biggest this one. And I think the team, not in football, that proved waiting works is the Sixers.
Yes.
It's still a little ways to go. But they got their people, they played rough seasons, and now they have kind of everybody they need.
Yeah, it's just they need to start just developing now. Like
yeah,
you got Markelle Fultz, you got waiting in the wings. I mean, I would shut him down for the rest of the year at this point, honestly, because that just seems to be the MO of first round draft picks for the 76ers. You see the Delaware 87ers SpongeBob uniform last night.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even look at the Jaguars. I mean, you know, they seem. You could say what you want to say about Brock Osweiler. I mean, he's been a game manager, and that's all you need from him at this season. When you have that kind of run game, you have that kind of a defense. I mean, and they've waited. I mean,
Gabbert or Brock? You said Brock Osweiler.
Oh, I mean, I meant Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles, yeah.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit for him or for them to develop. It looked bleak for a lot of those years, but you started to draft well. I mean, you got Jalen Ramsey, you drafted Miles Jack just to set up the defense. Telvin Smith, you drafted to save up the defense, things like that. And you got a really dominant defense. Also, you use your money to get some good pieces on the defensive side of the ball as well. I mean, you got good wide receiving core. If they had Allen Robinson this year, they'd probably be in even better spot as well. I said Blake Bortles, I mean, doesn't really have to do too much. Just hand the ball off 25 times to Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
Maybe every now to Chris Ivory, maybe every now to TJ Yeldon, and like you're good. I mean, said as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, and as long as they can get enough scores on the offensive side of the ball, they got a good team. It's like they're in the playoffs this year. They have a chance to win in the playoffs this year.
They had. I thought they might have been a 12-win team, but they kind of fell apart that last.
Yeah, those last couple games. Yeah. I mean, Garoppolo just looked so good those last few weeks of the season.
That's true too. Yeah.
Those poor 49ers. They could have kept on losing. And but Jimmy G just decides he doesn't need to lose.
He's like, I can win with this team. We don't need to draft one.
Yeah, and now watch the Browns are going to get hopefully the Browns finally get a quarterback.
Hopefully, I mean
Darnold looks like he's going to be the option. Rosen already said he's not going to go there, so we might as well just draft Darnold. Yeah, Rosen is a very brash individual. A lot of people don't like him, but the kid speaks his mind, and I like that. I mean,
I feel like if he finds the line of speaking your mind and not being rude,
yeah,
I feel like that. When people say like, "Oh, I speak my mind," I'm like, "No,
you're just being an asshole." Yeah, yeah.
If you could say it in a way that still gets your opinion across and not
right. Like he talked about like the whole like the idea of the NCAA being corrupt about like him about not paying and everything like that and things like that. Like he brings up a very good points when it comes to different things. I mean, it's also funny his freshman year he also had a little pool in his dorm room too. That was funny. Like. He just speaks his mind and he lets it be known. Like I said, a lot of people didn't like what he had to say about him, like basically going out and saying he didn't want to be drafted to the Browns. He didn't say that. He just said he said to a T. He said, "I'd much rather get drafted lower at a team that fits than higher for more money. Like for a team that like doesn't fit my system." So I mean, they're just saying you just don't want to play for the Browns. And like I said, I understand. Yeah. I mean, knowing it's knowing that the turnover, like the owner is iffy. Like you've had a lot of different coaches go in and out. You've had a lot of different GMs go in and out. Like
I think if he flat out said, or any player coming out of college and said, "Hey, I don't want to play for the Browns," I think the Browns, that should be a check on the Browns, and they should be like, "Hey, these college players don't want to come for us. We need to drastically change."
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, there's a way to say it, but I think that would be like the kick in the butt that the Browns need. Like when you have the number one player in the country or quarterback or whoever. They can be for any team.
Yeah.
In any league. I don't know if there's a comparable team to the Browns in any other sport, really.
I don't think so.
Bad for so long,
I don't think so.
Every team I've had is up.
Like the 76ers went through their like little like spurt, but like you knew what they're doing. Like they were like that was their intention. Like
it hasn't been for that long.
No, not nearly. I mean, they were in the playoffs like in this decade. Like
when was the last one?
I know they played
2011.
I think so. I know it was one of those years that like I think they were an 8 seed, so they got swept by the Heat. But that's
because that was at High Point when they played, and that was 2010, 2011.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't think they made it since. Were they an 8 seed?
I think so. I
think they were like the 7ers.
It could have been. I thought Miami was a 1 seed that year.
Because there was one year. I think that might have happened one year, but maybe like 2012 or 13, they made it to the second round.
Okay. That sounds about right.
I think, yeah. Because I remember the Flyers made a run, too.
Yeah.
And it might have been before, actually. It might have been like 2010. But the Flyers made a run, too. And I grew out a playoff beard for the Flyers. But then the Flyers lost before the Sixers did. So I was like, well, maybe it's working for the Sixers.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. But... Where were we? Yeah, I think, like I said, back to the Browns. Like, I don't mind. Like, there's just a line with players. You know, like I was saying, if you take it to the extreme, like the 49ers players, and they're making it to the Super Bowl next year based on how well Garoppolo played, I'm like, calm down. Yeah. Like, still got to play the Seahawks twice. You got to play the Rams twice. Yeah. Like, the Seahawks were...
Well, they won't be in last place in the conference next year, or the division next year, because...
Carson Palmer.
Yeah, that could be...
And Bruce Arians.
And Bruce Arians.
Yeah, so that team might be...
Like, what would you like? What? Like, I don't see if you like what coach would want to sign up for that situation.
Yeah, when you don't have a quarterback.
We don't have a quarterback. You have an aging old wide receiving core. You don't have a great defense.
Yeah.
Like, and like they didn't really draft that well last year. Like they drafted more on the side of on the defensive side of the ball. They drafted Hassan Reddick in the first round, kid from Temple, and he's like a linebacker. They drafted Budda Baker in the second round, who's basically just like a lesser version of Tyrann Mathieu. It's really what, like, they're the same size. Like, they really do a lot of the same things. It's just he's not as explosive as what Tyrann Mathieu was coming out. So, like, they didn't really draft anything that was going to help him. I mean, like, you still have David Johnson, who's obviously a really good running back. He's been out for the years. So a lot of people forgot about him. But, like, don't have a great offensive line. Don't have a great wide receiving core. And you obviously have no quarterback going into the next year. So, like, you're going to need...
backup?
Well, they had Drew Stanton. He was older. He also played the last few weeks of the season with a torn ACL. Yeah, that was a thing.
A few weeks?
Yeah, last two. I think it was like last. Actually, it might have been like the last 2 weeks of the season.
I was impressed once played 4 plays.
Yeah.
2 weeks on a torn ACL. How are you walking?
Yeah, they had Stanton and Blaine Gabbert.
That's right, Gabbert.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, both of those guys are kind of like Blaine Gabbert had his like 1 or 2 years where they're like, all right, let's give him 1 or 2 more years.
Yeah.
Now it's what I was like 13.
It was a.
Because he was on the.
You got drafted by Jacksonville out of Missouri.
Yeah.
Then he went to 49ers. He was 49ers last.
He was with the Niners. Yeah. Now he's on the Cardinals.
Yeah.
He went anywhere in between, but
I don't think so.
That's the thing too. There's like it's kind of this weird thing. I think this might be our last point. There's this weird thing where we want stuff really fast, but then we won't let go of things.
Yeah.
In today's world, and it's kind of like it's weird how those two things coincide.
Yeah.
Because people are just like, oh, no, we can't let go. And at some point, you gotta be like the Eagles were Andy Reid. Yeah, he coached there for 14 years.
Yeah.
Made it to 1 Super Bowl, won a ton of division titles, made it to NFC Championship game like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
But like the last 2 or 3 years, you're kind of like, okay, you snuck into the playoffs 1 year.
At a certain point, you got to
the next year, 4-12 the next year. You're like things aren't going up.
Right.
And as much as you like him,
at a certain point, you got to be like, all right, he's overstayed his welcome at this point. Like it's just not a fit for both sides.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I very much understand that. I mean, especially if it gets stale and you're just not really doing anything any better, like. It's just sometimes the situation might be better for him. Like, I mean, he's done well in Kansas City. I think it'll be interesting to see what Patrick Mahomes does. I think I'll be very interested with that. But yeah, I mean, I just think that it can be a little bit too much where, like, you can't get rid of something, but like you want change, but like you don't really want change. You just want to say that you want change.
Yeah, you just want it, and then people bring it up, and you're well, hold on.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think that happens with quarterbacks when the quarterback goes for a while, and you're like, okay, and then he doesn't. He's like, well, he was good.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see what he does next.
It's like everybody always thinks like the second string quarterback is always like the most popular person in town, and until you see him and you're like, oh no, he's actually not good. We don't need him. Like
how many teams have had a really good backup quarterback? And I can name
of all time.
No, like just like in general, not of all time. Like I mean, I think Nick Foles is one of the better backup quarterbacks.
Yeah, who's out there right now? I don't.
Well, yeah, as of this recording, we'll see what happens.
Colt McCoy could be okay.
He was alright.
Technically, Case Keenum's a backup quarterback. I guess Sam Bradford started the season in Minnesota.
First of all, Sam Bradford's traveled the world.
Yeah, what do you want? St. Louis,
I thought
Philadelphia.
Case Keenum was still on the Rams, and I was like, I forgot he was on the Vikings, and then it's Jared Goff on the Rams.
Yep.
I was like, hold on.
Because they were both the quarterbacks for the Rams last year.
Yeah.
And you see how much better both of them are without Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher had the nerve.
For a lot of people.
Jeff Fisher had the nerve to try and take credit for the Rams' success this year. I'm like, how? How does that make any sense to you, Jeff?
Look at what you've done the past few years.
Look at what you've done. Like,
McVay, and look what they've done.
Look at how bad. Look at how bad Jared Goff was with you, and look how good Jared Goff is with McVay. Like, on top of that, like the GM has done a lot better of a job of getting talent around him. Like last year, your number one option was what? Tavon Austin, Kenny Britt, probably. Kenny, and then like you see what happened. I mean, Tavon Austin is struggling to get any kind of reps behind. I mean, all these dudes. I mean, you got. I mean, Todd Gurley, who you've made into a legit receiving option. You have Sammy Watkins, who's a legit deep threat. Robert Woods, who can get you out all over the place. Yeah. You have Cooper Kupp, who's a legitimate like slot receiver who can extend the field a little bit further out there too. Hit those intermediate routes. Like you didn't have any of them, with the exception of Todd Gurley. You didn't have any of those people last year. Defensively, you're already good. Like, it's fine. Like, defensively, you already knew you were set.
I would draft the past years I did fantasy, so I took these last 2 years off. So 2 years before that, I took the Rams defense.
Yeah. For the pass rushers?
One, they were great, yeah.
Aaron Donald, Robert Quinn. I mean, Alec Ogletree is a good linebacker. Like, yeah it makes sense.
Like, and they were shutting down the highest scoring teams in the division. Like, they played the Seahawks so well.
Yeah, every year they play Seahawks well. Yeah. And win, at least split the series.
Yeah, and I would do that, and I would every year for like the 3 years I did fantasy, I had them, and I had the Eagles defense because of their special teams. Yeah. Their special teams was so good, except for that one day, and they played the Patriots, and I was like, they're going to get blown out. Yeah. And then they have like 3 special team touchdowns.
And win.
Yeah, I was telling somebody last night at the open mic, and I was like, never forget, Chip Kelly and Sam Bradford beat Bill Belichick in New England. I think that's
all we got for today.
Yeah, unless you have anything wrong.
No. I think we exhausted our talking points.
Yeah. That was the airing of the grievances, Sports Squad edition. There is also a Squadcast edition that me and Ryan did of the airing of the grievances. That's totally different, but same thing.
Same premise, just different topics.
Yeah. So I gotta say one last thing since we're doing airing of the grievances. That whole Tommy Lauren thing cracked me up so much because then she got
which Tommy Lauren
the thing where it was photoshopped about she said Obama invented Festivus.
Oh yeah.
To get people to stop saying Merry Christmas, and then she got offended by people calling her out on it, and then somebody tweeted at her, it was like that just goes to show you how crazy your stuff is that people believe this. I was just like.
Bring,
the fact that you can't separate what the truth from Photoshop.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, that was I just thought that was funny. But that was airing of the grievances. If you got anything you want to air out or comment or whatever, do it. That was KElven and I today. Episode something.
Something or other. Yep. Teen something.
Yeah, we're in the teens. We broke double digits. I know that. Alright. And that's about it. Alright. Squad out.